infectious diseases, research, medicine, health. Welcome to Outbreak News Interviews. And now, broadcasting from the Outbreak News Skylar Studios in beautiful West Central Florida, here is your host, microbiologist and editor of OutbreakNewsToday.com, Robert Harriman.
Well, hey everybody, this is Robert, and welcome to Outbreak News Interviews. Now, a recent study by Johns Hopkins researchers looked at the flu and what may explain why men recover faster. While public health physician and vaccinologist Dr. Melvin Sanikas wrote about the study on the website ZME Science, and he's here today to talk about it today. Dr. Sanikas, welcome back to the show, sir.
Thank you, Robert. Glad to be back.
All right, sir, before we go into your article on the Hopkins paper, can you just briefly for the audience discuss the pathology of influenza?
Yeah, sure. The specific inflammatory patterns or regulation of the immune response to influenza is not yet completely understood, but we know that most of the initial responses, including cytokine release or influx of neutrophils, are responsible for the acute onset of the clinical symptoms of the flu. When people are very sick with the flu, the virus overwhelms the immune system, pushing it into overdrive that is harmful for the body. The damage occurs primarily in the lungs because that is the organ where influenza resides, but other organs can be damaged as well when the immune system is out of control. And overwhelming inflammation in the lungs can cause severe damage to the point that it becomes impossible for oxygen to pass through the lungs and into the blood. Also, when the immune system becomes focused on killing the virus, the immune system breaks down and makes people susceptible to common bacterial infections.
Now, you start out your article in ZME Science, and I'll link to that on the website, going over a number of flu outbreaks in the past in which women essentially took it harder than men. Dr. Sanikas, can you elaborate on this, and what were some of the possible explanations?
So, looking at records of flu morbidity and mortality from past seasonal outbreaks and pandemics, we see that the outcome of infection is generally worse for females, and the magnitude of this difference varies across geographical regions, of course. Although pregnancy is one of the factors contributing to a worse outcome in women, several additional risk factors may influence male-female differences in the outcome of influenza. For example, the severity of asthma, other chronic respiratory conditions, or diabetes is often worse in women than men, and we know that influenza worsens asthma symptoms and makes diabetes more challenging to control. Only fairly recently, the biological pathways responsible for these sex-based differences have been studied more, and these include immunological pathways affected by sex hormones, as well as consequences of differential expression of X chromosome encoded genes and immune response pathogens. Bottom line, women and men are different in terms of susceptibility and response to different diseases, including influenza.
Now, scientists at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, whose findings were published in the Journal of Biology of Sex Differences, found another possible explanation. Dr. Sanikas, can you discuss what they did and what were their findings?
Sure. So researchers at Hopkins, led by Professor Klein, infected live mice and human cells with a non-lethal dose of H1N1, the influenza A strain that caused over 18,000 lab-confirmed deaths worldwide in 2009 and 2010. In the study, male and female mice had the same virus levels and cleared the virus in about the same amount of time. However, the female mice had greater loss of body mass and more lung inflammation, and were slower to return to normal lung function. They also found out that male mice genetically engineered to elect a protein called amphiregulin had the same results as females. This amphiregulin is an epidermal growth factor EGF-like molecule, which has been shown to play a role in tissue healing after infection or injury. So they hypothesized that amphiregulin could be the reason why men recover from flu more quickly than women. Now, why is this research important? It is important because a better understanding of these mechanisms could lead to potential flu treatments in the future that can boost amphiregulin production, particularly in women.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Melvin Sanikas, for your time and your expertise, sir.
Thank you, Robert.
All right, take care. If you are worried you have Lyme disease, or just like the outdoors, and want the peace of mind of knowing whether you have Lyme disease or not, there is a new Lyme screening test based on decades of research by Dr. Richard Marconi, a professor at VCU Medical Center. For more information, visit glymedx.com. That's glymedx.com, or email at info@glymedx.com.